All right, we are back. Judd'z Budz episode, and the title's too long again. I think it's 101. I think.
So the first couple here should be pretty easy if we hit 100.
Yeah, that's assuming I can remember anything more than 12 minutes. So
does it even matter though? Like, there's no jerseys anymore. Now it's just numbers.
True. That's true, but I need to. It's just it's become part of the intro, and any minor change to any routine I've ever had in my life is absolutely catastrophic. So this one, hopefully I'll recover in like 2 weeks. But anyways, it is 101. I just found it. Episode 101, as always, your host, Spokesy, joined by my good buddy, Mr. at State of Hoppy. Hoppy, how are we doing on this fine Wednesday / when you're listening, Friday?
Dude, so I'm getting ready to leave work today, and like Laura was nice and texted me like, hey, when are you leaving? I want to have dinner ready. And then all of a sudden, right before I leave, I like see that I have a text from her that's just like a link. And I'm like, what is this link for? Oh, wait, Ring. It just says like ring.com, but it's for our Ring camera. Fuck, dude. So our driveway is like long and narrow, but then there's a little jut out the side that makes it like a 2-car garage size. Mm-hmm. And so Laura's mom was here today helping with the kid because today is the one day that I'm like full day in office versus doing some remote work. And so like, it just works out good to get a little relief. And she decided she's going to make a Target run because, she's a basic white girl in Minnesota. You have to go to Target.
Of course.
So her mom was parked behind her because she's got the clear path. I'm the one that can maneuver. So I kind of deal with the little jut out and cut over, like no big deal. And so she had to move her mom's car over behind mine and says to her before she leaves, like, hey, do you need me to get in and move it for you? Like, you're going to have to do some maneuvering. I'm over tight against the deck. Like any concerns here? She's like, no, I got it. When I tell you that the backup job went straight backwards, I can't be any more accurate than straight backwards, right into the yard. But what's phenomenal about it, we have like little like orange rods along the driveway because, of course, the one year that there's zero fucking snow, I paid for a snow removal service just because like
nice
new kid, like if Laura's got to get out for an emergency or something for him, she can't do the driveway herself. So figured whatever, this is the year we'll pay. And of course it's been done once and it was like a week ago.
Of course, dude.
She going straight backwards manages to go between all of those, doesn't touch a single one, and there's an access like cap to get into our like sewer line in the yard because like Richfield's fucked up and a normal sewer line is like 100 feet, and in Richfield it like zags and zags and it's like 140. So for them to be able to get through and like grind through all the roots and stuff of the tree, they had to like put an access in the middle, and she was like 6 inches from just destroying that, but like literally navigates through the entire yard, doesn't hit any of the rods, doesn't hit anything, like no damage is done really. So now it's just a hilarious video. But like at first I saw that and I'm just like, if she hit the cap, I don't know what I'm gonna do. That's gonna be so expensive. And like you see Laura, like she just like walks into the backyard to look at something quick and she's carrying the baby and she is not aware at all that this is happening. And then she just like pops back in the house unknowingly and looks out the window and she's just like, oh what? You're in my yard? What? I asked her, I'm like, so like, what did she say? She's like, nothing. She drove home. She has not texted me or called me since. I'm like, respect. Power move.
She has no idea currently still. This is going to be news to her when she finds out later. She still doesn't know.
Yeah. Has no, like, wait, I was at your house today?
What are you talking about? I haven't been there in weeks.
Oh, but no. So we'll see. I'll probably get the link over to you for that after, but everyone else is just gonna have to live vicariously through the description I just gave. But we'll just say I'm like on a completely different level of buzz right now. Like I went from panic to like, holy crap, this is hilarious. So now I'm in a great mood.
Dude, I was gonna say, I can only imagine the absolute panic or just like the feeling you had when you get the link to Ring. Like, no,
no, Link to Ring. I'm like,
no.
this can go two ways. Hilarious.
Well, I guess this is it.
Oh shit. And it started as an oh my god.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Well, I'm glad that it ended up with you in a good mood.
Yeah, it's beneficial for sure.
Yeah, it's been something. So for today, obviously, a few things we got to touch on with Minnesota, and just I don't know if we actually have any other. I can't remember if we have any other actual NHL stuff to talk about.
Pre NHL though, we should get into it here because anyone that's already tuned into the newest show on the Sota Pod earlier today, Fellowship of the Rinks, great interview with Oliver Moore, and yes, it's definitely a nerd connection to Lord of the Rings. Funny because like since Joe Smith moved here, like we've been cool, like we've been hanging out, grab beers, whatever. I just found out like a few weeks ago that he's like really into Lord of the Rings because him and his wife during the All-Star game and bye week, like back to back, they went out to New Zealand for a final trip before their kid comes this summer. And I asked him right away, I'm like, so you're going to New Zealand, like just going to see the landscape, or are you going for Lord of the Rings shit? He's like, the answer is both. I'm like, all right, we can be friends. This is gonna be good. Because that's my one nerd itch. I love Lord of the Rings, books, movies, TV series, all of it. Like those people that like Star Trek, doesn't do anything for me. Yoda and Darth Vader and stuff. But it's good. I don't know if I'm gone or if you're gone right now. This isn't good. Someone comment, is this me or Z? Well, okay, I'm seeing some Star Wars comments. So, yep, it's definitely Z. Nice. All right, we're still here. Z will be back at some point, I hope. If not, it's going to be a really boring prospect coverage. But the reason that I teed all of that up is the awesome beer that I've got here. Anyone that's local here in Minnesota, District 5. Yes, you guessed correctly. This is a Mighty Ducks beer. They got some sweet Mighty Ducks inspired apparel as well. But this is an IPA that they've done. This is 2 years now, I think. And it's just such a smooth drinking, like simple yet delicious IPA that I recommend to anyone, whether you love IPAs or just meh on them. If you hate them, then yeah, maybe it's not your cup of tea, but highly, highly recommend to anyone out there. And that's such perfect timing. He is back. Z, you missed out on a lot there. I thought it was me at first, but then all of a sudden I looked over. I'm like, there's no way that he can hold still for this long. Like, you're way too fidgety for that. So
yeah, he's dead. He died.
A lot of people, noticed that you are definitely dead. But what you missed as I got through all of that is we got this delicious beer called District 5, modeled after Mighty Ducks. It's incredible, but figured we should talk about it because I know this is probably a somewhat controversial topic, but Mighty Ducks Z, like, who are the best characters from the Mighty Ducks trilogy? And we're not talking about the bullshit series that they did on Disney Plus because that was awful.
That's a tough one. I kind of feel like I've always been, what's it called? Bash Brothers type guy, just because, Yeah, I mean, there you go. Like, that's me. I feel like that's my favorite. And I'm like, I'm never going to give you, like, Charlie Conway. No. I'm never going to give you Gordon Bond. I'm not going to give you Adam Banks.
Who says Charlie Conway?
It's terrible. Imagine anyone.
Character, but, like, why would he be your favorite? I don't understand.
Yeah.
But
Lester's up there, dude. What a beauty. He's fucking.
So I got the obvious one, and I've got one that's more of a deep cut, so you can agree or disagree. The obvious one, Goldberg is phenomenal. Like,
Yeah.
he's such a great character. The best of which I'm messed up. I had a weird childhood. I definitely didn't see the movies in order. But in D3 Mighty Ducks, when they're at the prep school, which awesome that it's called Eden Hall Academy. It's combination of Eden Prairie, Cretan Durham Hall, and St. Thomas Academy, just all like globbed into one. But he is convincing Julie the Cat Gaffney that she needs to like wolf down donuts because carbs are gonna like help her for hockey. And like,
oh yeah,
like that alone makes him my favorite character. It is brilliant. But my deep cut, Kenny Wu.
I was gonna say, what about Kenny Wu? Fucking
Kenny
shout out Kenny Wu, dude.
He's so
such
good,
a
dude.
beauty, dude.
Like when they try and like indoctrinate him as the third Bash brother, and he just can't fucking do it. And like that, I'm obsessed with the scene where they're like, give it a try here, man. He's like, hey, number 7, you don't play hockey so good. The guy looks over, he's like, the fuck did you say?
I should have led with Kenny Wu, but like
Kenny Wu
in the back of my head, yeah. Of the like 7,000 times that I've seen the movies, so every time I was like, that guy's the fucking best. That
it's awesome.
Rules. Dude.
He's kind of got the like whole, Creed Bratton, like Jean-Ralphio Saperstein, like Jin Yang type vibe, where like he's not a main character, but when he pops in, he's just great.
Yeah, I feel like that's the MVP type performance. It's just like whenever he shows up, you're like, yeah, this is gonna be good. I like this scene. I bet this scene rules. It's like, yep, nailed it.
Oh man,
fuck! I should have just led with Kenny Wu because I think it's like actually not even that close. I think he is just like they go to his face. I start laughing.
That is controversial, correct?
Yeah, everything's controversial.
Well, okay, but that's legitimate. Like I can understand why people would be like, wait, who's your favorite character?
Yeah. I think if your reaction is like, really, that guy, then you're a loser. Because like everything he does is hilarious. That's my thing. I'm just like, how are you gonna like have any other reaction other than like be like, God, that kid fucking rules? Even if it's not your like, you could disagree, but you're like, if you're like, oh, what? First of all, you're a loser for debating like the Mighty Ducks movie like this, which I don't think this conversation certainly has not happened ever. But he's Kenny Wu. Like you can't have any like actual feelings that aren't like at the most tepid. Like, all right, yeah, he's a fucking beauty.
At a minimum, it's just like not even like, just disregarding. Like whatever, yeah, he's whatever.
Yeah.
It'd be really tough to dislike him.
I feel like you'd have to be really be in a dark, sad place if someone told you that like Kenny Wu is sneaky my favorite Mighty Ducks character to be like, okay,
this is why we're friends.
You don't know cinema like I do. You don't understand.
You clearly have never done a Rotten Tomatoes review. You piece of shit.
Go fuck yourself. Oh
man.
Yeah, but if you say Charlie Conway, you probably should be in jail. So
oh, it's too good. Man, all right. That's all I had to do to get that out of my system. Cheers to whatever triple, quadruple, quintuple IPA you're drinking.
Oh yeah, high noons. But seriously though, everyone should check out the new show. I listened to it while working today, and I actually am not confident that any of the work that I did was even satisfactory. Mostly because I was just laughing because Oliver Moore, beauty. Like he's just like first question about the logo. He's like, what? I was dying laughing.
I wasn't ready for that response. And so I talked to Joe Smith about that. I'm like, I kind of want this to be my first question for every interview. And he's like, is that even like a thing? I'm like, yes, like once a year, there will be one random bozo who pops in. He's like, holy shit, guys, did you know
you guys
logo is actually a bear? And like everyone goes nuts from there. Like other people will like see it and learn, and others are like, yeah, you're a fucking idiot. And so I'm like, we got to do it. Like if nothing else, it's just like sets the tone and like relaxes whoever the guest is to like have a non-serious question. I was not even remotely prepared for him to be like, bro, I'm learning this right now.
Yeah. Well, his reaction was so like laid back, genuine. I was like, okay, so this interview isn't going to be him giving you hockey answers the whole fucking like hour or whatever. I mean, obviously wasn't.
Yeah, we only really got the one hockey answer, which was a given, right? I had to ask the question, and I know Joe Smith was probably like, tread lightly here, bud. But I'm like, just well, like, yeah,
first day.
I'm like, who should win Calder? He's like, there's no right answer here. I am screwed no matter what.
He did it well. I mean, he sat on that fence perfectly. It was perfect execution. But yeah, no, that was like.
I just hope it's not chain link. I don't want anything to catch.
Oh yeah, no, we can't be on that. But it was a very fun, laid back, but also very funny interview with Oliver Moore. I love the fact when you gave him the dream golf foursome, and at the end he's like, "Did I leave myself out?" Like, yeah, you did. You know, shit. Like,
you know what?
Man.
Enough of Z's impressions here. Let's go over here to a quick clip from that Oliver Moore interview. Yeah, anyone that's actually on here for this stream, this is just for podcast purposes. Mm-hmm. You can all tune in. That's your reason to go back and actually listen to the episode. Awesome. Again, everyone check that out. First episode dropped this week, Wednesday. You can expect Wednesday to more or less be the likely day of dropping. Obviously, depends on when interviews fall and with Joe's travel schedule to cover the Wild, but you can count on it middle of the week in general. We already banked next week's interview with Mr. James Snuggerud. So definitely tune back in for that. Guy is he's something.
Heard of him. Decent player. Yeah. No, it was funny as shit because like once that tweet went out, I was like, all right, now it's announced that Joe Smith's doing like a podcast with you under Sota Pod. I was like, I have to be like, should I wear like collared shirts now? Like it's a little more professional, dude. And I was just like, I'm a fucking idiot.
You show up with a golf shirt on, no hat, hair slick, you got glasses on. You're like, hello. How are you today, Mr.
Hello.
Bobby?
Welcome to. Oh man, we are now changing it. JuddzBudz. It's with 2 S's. No longer. There's no Z's at the end. It's Mr. Brackets Friends. That's what the new podcast is called. Anyways, we can move on. Though. Seriously, everyone should go check it out. Phenomenal.
Isha's dropping links here in the comments. So if you're watching online right now, definitely bookmark that for after we're done here. We do actually have the full Oliver Moore video already up on the YouTube channel as well. I'm sure Isha will drop that here in the comments soon. But really important work here from our boy Sean Cosgrove. 24 people, 24 more until we hit 1,000 subs, monetize the channel. I don't care if you got to bust into your girlfriend's phone, your mom's, your random person you work with. Just go in, subscribe to the Sota Pod YouTube channel, get us there. It'll just mean that we're going to pump out that much more content because it's crazy what happens when you actually make money off of something. and we are now firing off highlight videos of some of our favorite prospects. So that's right.
The most recent goal video is from Hunter Heidt. And I actually, while I was clipping up that video, I was just like laughing to myself because I've been forgetting how many absurd goals he scored this year. Because like when we put out the Urov one, there's probably like 3 or 4 empty netters, like a couple like backdoor tap-ins. And then like Hunter Heidt is just like, okay, he dangled fucking like 3 different defenders and then went shelf. Okay, all right. So that's how this. I forgot about this. I was just like laughing. I was like, oh shit, I forgot how nasty almost like every goal he scores is.
Yeah.
I finished the next one, but I'm gonna have to go back in and edit it again. Because I realized after I was like, I should probably wait until the regular season's over at WHL because like Riley Heidt just can't stop.
No, we'll just do a second version once the season's over. There's
literally,
nothing
I was
just save
I was
this
watching.
one and add to it.
I was watching Prince George kick the shit out of Seattle last night. The second Heidt scored, I was like, "You son of a bitch!" I was like mad about it. I was like, "God damn it! I have to go fix everything again." But yeah, as we said, check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, because I actually really want to continue on making more of those videos. It's very fun for me, but sometimes, there's all these streaming services for watching prospects. At the very least, like the least we could do is give everyone somewhere one YouTube channel just to find some fun highlights of each of these prospects. So yeah, subscribe. There would be more coming. I think the Riley Heidt one may actually have to wait because he just is addicted to just ripping pucks into nets. So that's just how it is.
We'll get it up here soon. We'll just save that video and literally just do a second video at the end of the year. That's like, oh yeah, here's the 50 that we missed.
Yeah. Next up, because I feel like I'm pretty safe that he will never score another goal in his life. Matvei Guskov. That's the next one that's coming up. It's going to be a 10-second video. Just 2 goals. I feel very safe. I feel very safe.
Oh, what if you did one for Hovanov that was literally just whatever cell phone video someone got of him at the airport with the burger and shake? That would probably break our channel. We would all of the money, every bit of it.
Hovanov highlight reel of just his Instagram stories. Again, here he is in this fine establishment. Here he is looking at a nice view over on them. But yeah, it's fun. So people should check out the YouTube page. There's gonna be more and more actual hockey videos, not just us being idiots on a podcast. So moving on. Real quick, let's talk about Minnesota. I
don't know if it's gonna be quick. What the fuck was that,
dude? Okay. All right. Minnesota versus Vancouver was, I think, one of my favorite hockey games ever, because if only Minnesota could have spent this whole season giving up 7 goals, but still covering the puck line, and still winning.
Yeah,
they'd be undefeated, I think, at this point. 10-7 win versus Vancouver. Eriksson Ek was it 6 points? Kaprizov 6 points. Eriksson Ek's
he's already gonna beat his goal total.
Did. It's done. He has passed his career high in goal total.
Dude, if that guy puts up can you imagine if he somehow put up 50 tucks?
It would be legitimately. So there were a couple of guys last year who had some of the quietest 100 point or 50 goal seasons of all time. Just because they're players that maybe you're not expecting to put up 50 goals, 100 points, whatever. But at the same time, for whatever reason, it's just like a guy like Mikko Rantanen. I think he finished with 50 something goals. And I can't remember I don't think he hit 100 points. But it was just the most silent 50 of all time. Say they were Braden Point, I think, hit 50 or 100 points, something like that.
Yeah, but there's a big difference between him and those.
No,
players.
I know. I'm saying. So this is what I'm saying. If Eriksson Ek were to put up 40 this year, I think it would be the most silent 40 goal season in NHL history. Because even myself, who watches almost every single Minnesota Wild game, was the other day, I was like, holy fuck, he has 26 goals. It's Jesus Christ. I didn't even, does anyone have 26 goals on this team? Oh no. Okay, great. But for a while there, the only consistent players on this team we were talking about, even a Marco Rossi, who's sneaky 17 goals now. Phenomenal.
We're gonna pause on that though. I need to give proper credit actually, because I loved this. Someone commented, and I'm gonna steal it, but I'm gonna give credit. So I didn't really steal it then, right?
Yeah, it's not different. Yeah.
So I posted that goal from Rossi, and I said something stupid like Marco Rossi is the bustiest bust that ever busted, or something like that. Let me see here. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, that
Then
sounds right.
someone replied, so it's Lizard to Kaprizov to Lizard to Kaprizov. I get it.
Yep.
Mikko's best season was 22 goals. He needs 5 to tie him as a rookie without PP1 minutes. Everyone is still saying that this guy isn't going to make it, whether he's a bust or he can't be a top 6 guy or he can't play in the playoffs. Let that sink in that Mikko Koivu, who you all revere and wanted his jersey thrown up into the rafters, his best season was 22 goals, and Marco Rossi is going to surpass that as a damn rookie. Mic dropped. I'm going to leave, drink some more beer.
And that does it. Thanks for tuning in.
Like outrageous, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. This all started as like a Joel Eriksson tire pump, but
Joel Eriksson too, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, it'd be really fun with him if now the narrative spun, because Wild fans are like livid that he doesn't get more Selke consideration, which I'm not even fighting him on that. Like, he deserves it. Now watch them be like, no, he's not a defensive player. He's an offensive guy.
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the funnier like sayings about the Selke is like you can be in the Selke conversation once you put up like 25 goals, 40 assists. Once you're almost a play per game, then you enter the defensive forward conversation. All right, like put up enough offense. But real quick on Rossi though, again, I've said every time we bring him up, I'm just very happy for him because like this could have gone one or two ways where setback with the whole, myocarditis thing, that tends to be a pretty major issue for a lot of people. And it was for him. I'm just glad to see that he not only has made it as a full-time NHL player, but looks like an incredibly promising one. But the thing that's standing out almost every game, like he has to be top 10 in like penalties drawn while on he puts them on the power play. It feels like once per game. And he's doing it just being a fucking pest in front of the net. And then also with that skill that he always flashed when he was younger before he was drafted. Like the reason he has such high upside is like the crazy skill and like how smart he is. He's not the quickest skater in the world, but he is able to beat people wide with his skill and he draws a ton of penalties. So I wanted to bring that up last. I feel like it was last week we were talking about Rossi for a little bit, and I meant to actually bring up like he's drawing an insane amount of penalties and putting them on the power play constantly. So shout out Marco Rossi. But this all started talking about Joel Eriksson. I need him to hit 40 because it's the funniest. It will be a very quiet, silent, if you will, as Cosgrove said. Joel Eriksson, silent but deadly. Fucker. I need him to hit 40. It's just a very funny 40 goal player to me where he's just how does he score goals? Basically being a dickhead in front of the net and pissing everyone off. It's pretty much his go-to. It's just like, let me just wreak havoc in the crease. Just like score goals. That's it. So love that for him. But my God, that game was like, it looked like they were about to lose 10-0. And then was it the second or no, it was the third period that they just were like, what if we scored 5 goals in like 2 minutes? What if we just did that? It's one of those games where it's like they're showing the highlight of the last goal and then it goes to real time and the horn's going off. You're like, what the fuck happened, dude? I can't wait for the replay because I have no idea what happened. Well, but my God, that was insane. That game was legitimately out of control. They fucking gave up 7 goals and won by 3. That is a joke. One of my favorite games. It's just nonstop action.
Could it have been better though? Like this was the perfect day for the President's Day matinee 1 p.m. game because I'm sitting here like watching during work and I'm like, oh fuck, it's like 5-2. Like, all right, I'm gonna like super casually tune in, and then all of a sudden, bam, 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 like. Right as I'm like trying to get away from the game. And then I'm like, okay, well, this is going to slow down. And I like had to go do something for, my job. And then I come back and there's like 2 more goals that have been scored. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, I couldn't comprehend it.
It was legitimately insane, specifically because I was like doing work, like literally right here. And the game is like here, and I had headphones in, so I would look up, and I was like, "Man, this has been a really long, like, celebration for this goal." I was like, "What is? Oh, fuck! They scored 3 times." I was like, "Oh shit! Like, fuck, dude." But all of that to say, really, the past couple of weeks we've been pretty firm, and like they are definitely going to do the thing where they like fight for a playoff spot and miss by whatever, like 2 or 3 points. With how the rest of the Western Conference is shaping out, now I'm of the opinion that they have a decent chance of sneaking in. I don't fucking know what they're gonna do. I really don't. Like we said last week, they are in the most Minnesota Wild spot of all time. Like every NHL fan who doesn't watch the Minnesota, or actually every NHL fan who does or doesn't watch the Wild regularly, everyone, like, whenever you say Minnesota Wild, they're like, yeah, they're the team that's basically like there. And like they will usually make the playoffs, maybe they don't, but they're not like horrible. They are in the most Minnesota Wild position of all time. It's unbelievable.
It is.
It's unbelievable. It's fucking unbelievable. Say, though,
on that note, it's pretty ridiculous that Anthony LaPanta like keeps on touting like they have been a successful team. They are the only team there with the Pittsburgh Penguins for having this consistent of a streak in making the postseason. I'm like, yeah, I feel like there's one small detail that we're skipping here, but sure. Like,
God.
Oh, God. Going off of the Pittsburgh spin, too, Isha brings up a phenomenal point. This was incredible. My God, Yager started his speech with, I'd like to thank my girlfriend. She's too young to remember me playing in Pittsburgh. What a boss.
That was, I mean, well, the camera slowly panned over. You're like, oh, my God. That could have just been a joke. And then people are like, ha, ha, ha. And then the camera actually is like, you're like, oh, fuck. Okay, he's serious. Oh, my God. No. Moving on. That is a wild comparison, though. That is a wild comparison.
Legend. But yeah. Oh, God. And then, of course, people's natural reaction. Who's that, like, NHL watcher or whatever? The guy that, like, does all the quotes from 32 Thoughts. He comes in. He's like, yeah, right. Yager's a top player that's ever played. If you have a Game 7 on the line, you're taking Gordie Howe or Jonathan Toews or Patrick Kane over him every time. I'm just like, what?
Such a weird reply, by the way.
Also, I'm sorry. Like, I feel bad. Actually, I don't feel bad anymore because he's a piece of shit that covered up everything that happened in Chicago. But, like, before that, I felt kind of bad because, like, Jonathan Toews never did anything to me besides play for North Dakota. So, yeah, no, screw him. But, like, the hard on that people have for him, and if you're a Blackhawks fan, whatever, like, I'm totally cool with homerism for your captain that won you 3 cups. But anyone outside of Chicago that is stroking this dude off as like the best playoff center that you've ever seen, he can't even sniff Sidney Crosby's jock. I'm so sorry. It's not even fucking comparable.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's crazy. We've said it before with Sid's longevity and how he's pretty much just been like filthy forever. There's like, at one point it was insane to say, but now it's kind of like, oh yeah, no, people just don't appreciate Sid as much as they probably should. He might be like one of the most underrated players I've ever seen in my life.
In the conversation for Mount Rushmore, I don't know that he quite scratches that, but undoubtedly top 10, very arguably top 5.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And imagine if he didn't lose like games due to concussion issues. Think about how close we were to losing him altogether from the sport. Like, obviously, like, I like the Penguins. I would have been, like, devastated in a different way. But, like, dude, if Alexander Ovechkin had injuries like that when he was 26 and he was out of the game, as a Penguins fan, I wouldn't have been happy about that. Like, that's not good for hockey. The guy's electric. I want to see these good players play, as long as they're not on the Rangers.
Right. Yeah.
Cosgrove comes in. This one of the greatest Yager moments ever. Remember when Yager hooked up with like a 21-year-old hot chick? Like, you're going to need to be more specific. And she took a picture of them in bed to try to get money out of him. He was like, I'm not married. Go nuts. I'll look sweet.
Yeah, apparently he just goes, go for it.
Well, what you're missing from this Cosgrove is it actually was like some model or something that was like a girlfriend of one of his teammates, or maybe an ex-girlfriend, I don't know, but like she hooked up with him and she's like, I'm gonna send this to him and the rest of the team. He's like, okay, cool.
Why are you bringing this up? I don't get it.
See you later. Man, all right. We just like took a ton of different tangents. Anything else exciting about the Wild?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
We
did come back to reality immediately the next night. Like, saw the other side of Minnesota.
Yeah, that game against Winnipeg absolutely sucked.
Except for Middleton being a psycho, which I love.
I loved. First of all, it was fun. Like, it was funny because I mean the hit, I guess if you want to call it that, on Scheifele, like, was the most obvious, like, unintentional. He was not trying to like run him into the boards from behind, whatever. And it's funny because like you can see the camera, like it goes right on both of me. He's like, "Yo, dude, like, are you all right? Like, my bad." And you can see Scheifele like, yeah, Scheifele literally goes, "Yeah, dude, you don't worry about it." And then Logan's. The thing was, the best part of the video is Logan Stanley must be like
over in the corner,
far away, like, "Hey, Jake, wanna go?" Like, I think not even in the frame.
Hey, Jake, I think your ass looks fat in the sauna suit.
And Middleton stands up, and the definition I use when I posted the video, I used the word scurry, and that's the picture. They should replace whatever the dictionary definition is. Like, they should just put it a gif of him be like, and just he literally like was so excited. It was unbelievable because like he started in a very bad position in that fight where he had no grip and Stanley had him strung out, and Middleton, and this actually happened, fun fact, that same like fight scenario thing happened where like Hartman 4 or 5 years ago was fighting Brendan Dillon when he was on Washington, and Dillon had him like completely strung out to the point where Hartman had no hands on, and he like was just like doing like it was like dodging punches, and then did the same thing Middleton did where like ducked one, grabbed hold, and just went left right to the face. Stanley folded. Like, I mean, I couldn't even tell if he actually got him at first, but then I watched like the replay again. I had to slow it down myself because there were no good slow motion replays of that fight. And then I like slowed it down for myself. I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, oh, my God, dude.
The way he went
unbelievable.
Down, he connected.
Yeah, it would appear that it hurt because he immediately folded, dude. Middleton rules. But again, the fight was great, but him legitimately scurrying, so excited. Like, he was so excited. So excited.
That could be a new segment. Scurry of the week by Spoke Z.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was fucking unbelievable. But yeah, game as a whole was just Jesus Christ. It was the epitome of their season. It was like, oh, they're doing these good things. This is exciting. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is more like the team that we expected. They have like one performance. Like, all right, fuck, never mind. Maybe we were wrong again. But yeah, no, just a tough game in Winnipeg. But speaking of Winnipeg, Declan Chisholm, though, we have to talk about Declan Chisholm real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Points in both games, scores in his debut. That obviously got spoiled at the end there. What did we say, dude? Like, this is a good player who was excellent in the AHL when he was able to actually play. You know, in Winnipeg, he was traveling with the team. It was like their 7th D-man, but no one got hurt, so he was stuck just hanging out in the press box. He's almost a point per game AHL defenseman. And even before he scored that goal in his first game, there were so many plays where he was doing the things that make him so good, where like breaking pucks out, even just he actually made a couple of real nice defensive plays as well. But like the puck moving ability, he's an excellent skater, and like some of the decision making and how like cool he is and calm on the blue line, like under pressure, not just gonna like dump it in, but he will make that pass. I really, really was excited when they picked him up at the waiver or picked him up on waivers. What a player to get for like an NHL ready defenseman. So like you can continue. Now you have a young NHL D-man. You can continue. You don't have to like worry about bringing up any of these young guys in Iowa that are not ready to play in the NHL on a full-time basis at this point. You get him for free. So I love that. So I was excited when they picked him up on waivers. I think he looks solid right now. I think he played almost like 18 minutes or so. And it didn't, the game sucked against Winnipeg, but it was nice. They picked Chisholm and they scratched both Merrill and Goligoski. So I mean, like, it's a win-win. So
that's part of my complex with it, is I'm so conditioned now with how the bottom part of the blue line has looked. Like, is it that Chisholm's good, or is it like I'm just like, oh wow, that's notably better than what was there?
Well, yeah, the thing with Chisholm is like, of all the I mean, like, there's pretty much every area of being a defenseman was like absent between this season between Merrill and Goligoski. Like, there was just so few things that were going remotely close to well. Something as simple as Declan Chisholm being able to retrieve pucks, avoid forecheckers, and break the puck out with a clean pass. I was like, oh, I'm almost emotional that like a guy on the third pair can do this. Like, this is so nice to see. So like, just little plays like that where like you're not immediately like getting forechecked to death and then you lose the puck and the opposition has just like an extended ozone cycle and you're just all dead tired. Like, it was so nice that it was just like that was easy. So again, I really like him. I think he's ready to be an NHL defenseman, especially like if you're going to play on a third pair. And like, it sucks now too. Like, Bogosian has actually been better than I thought he would be. I'm nervous about all this talk about the extension. But of course now he's also hurt. God damn it. So now Merrill or Goligoski will definitely be coming back in. So that was short-lived, but whatever. I'm not going to harp on that right now. I just wanted to throw it out there. Declan Chisholm looks great in this short little stint here. Again, NHL ready. He does a lot of the things well that were getting you in trouble with your other defensemen. So very good start for him. And very happy that he just immediately got on the board. Like, first game, first goal. Very happy for him. So there you go.
There you go. Awesome. Oh, we can move on then to actually, I guess we can pop up the comment here from John Robinson. Let's talk about our WHL roundup for current prospects in the pipeline. WHL 3-horse scoring race. Heidt on fire again, which Z, you've already kind of alluded to with the challenges in the highlight reel. Curious, is he AHL bound or too young? If he goes AHL, can he play for Canada Juniors next year? And can he play for Canada Juniors, period, because they're idiots and they won't bring him?
I mean, like, technically this is his 4th WHL season. So I think, again, there's so many weird stipulations to that CHL, AHL, or NHL agreement. I don't know if there actually is a minimum amount of games to constitute a full year. Because, I mean, the thing with Lambos a couple years ago, when I asked Chris Peters about this, because, like, there was the 1 year that he technically had 4 WHL games when the now Wenatchee Wild old. I'm not even going to try to do it. When there was the yeah.
I think they were the Kansas City Scouts at one point.
Yeah. that obviously didn't count because he was 4 games. Riley Heidt in 2020, 2021 season was his first year at the WHL. He played 22 games. So I feel like that's a little bit different. I'll be honest. I don't really need him to go play in the AHL. He probably is. Well, you know what? He actually could play for sure. But if the decision ends up like, if you want to go play another year at juniors, like they're going to be good again. They have so many young, fucking unbelievable players in that Prince George team, including one guy we'll talk about when we talk about our WHL draft prospects. But I don't know. I'm not like pressing for him to immediately get to Iowa yet. Like if he's 18 years old, there's no real like pressing need to have him go play in Iowa, but he is legitimately like just torching the Dub right now. Like, and he's 2 points away from his point total last year in 12 fewer games. So he's having an unbelievable year. But all that to say, like, I'm not really worried about him going and playing in WHL or the AHL next year. I think it's fine either way. I am curious to know though, like, 22 games is at least somewhat substantial. So I feel like that would count because it's the 4-year or 20 years old, which is so weird. Like, it's so fucking weird. Like, it's such a weird fucking... How'd they land? I want to know how they landed on that number. 4.
But you know, when the rule was made, there was a player that they were either trying to get out or keep in, and that's where all of this was built around. And they look back and they're like, fuck, was this worth it? Like, that guy, you don't even know who that guy is.
Again, I've said it a million times. It's the dumbest fucking rule in the world. I fucking hate it, dude. I hate that. It makes no sense. It's so whatever. Because there are some kids that are just like immediately they outgrow OHL, QMJHL, WHL, whatever. But like they like literally aren't allowed to go play in the A if the team's whatever. I don't know. They need to fix that. It's been brought up before, and then the NHL's like, nah, we're gonna keep it. We're in the sweet spot. I'm like, no, you're in the fucking terrible spot. Everyone hates this. Like, no one likes this at all, other than like the people that make money, the fucking CHL. But whatever, it is what it is. We can move on. We have to move on, or I'll cry.
All right. Well, any other NA or Wild prospects in the WHL you want to spend any time on here before we get into the WHL draft eligibles, your top 10 list?
I don't think so. So we can jump right into the draft at 2024 NHL draft segment here. We'll go through the top 10. I threw a couple honorable mentions and I only have so much to say about a couple of them. We can even just leave those, but
that's okay.
We're already 50 minutes in here, so we can just jump right into it.
Well, let's give her then. So what we've done here, and we've got the breakdown of each player, like basic stats, whatever. Z's going to go through each of them, and this is his personal rankings for all WHL draft eligibles. We got a top 10. We've got some honorable mentions, but we've also included his range, and that's just kind of roughly where he could see them going or where he thinks they should go, maybe. I mean, you tell us, Z, is the range where you expect them to go or where you think they should go?
That's where I would have them going. So I think, like, for example, the guy that we're going to start with, I think he's even lower than I have him. So it's my personal, like, he could go in this range and it feels fair and right to me personally. And a couple of them are very much subject to change, by the way. Just want to throw that disclaimer out there.
Well, all of them are subject to change. This is where you stand today, February 21st, 2024. So let's hit it here, Z. We've got number 1 in your WHL 2024 NHL draft class, Berkeley Catton, center out of the Spokane Chiefs. What do we got here?
Yes. I love this player. I've got, so as you can see down here, my range for Berkeley Catton is anywhere from 3 to 6. I think he will go later than that, probably. He does legitimately everything well, and his offensive upside is comical. Like playmaking, goal scoring, I think that stat line actually it is edited to the change I made like an hour ago because he
I'm
scored.
literally making these right now. So
whatever. Captain was captain last year for Spokane. Like the ceiling for him is like top line point per game player. He's a dynamic playmaker. He's a great skater. He also has a fantastic defensive game. So for me, he's easily like, I kind of put him in his own tier. And like some of these guys that we'll mention in the top 10 are legit like top 10 contenders. For me, he's in his own category, not just because of how good of a season he's having for Spokane, but like we've seen this from him for a couple of years now, where like as a double underager last in WHL, he's one of the best players I've seen play. So I love every aspect of this kid's game. I think his ceiling is insanely high, and just like the fact that he also has a two-way game to go with the ridiculous offense is just a massive plus. And again, Spokane's like, they're a playoff team. They're going to be good, but they're not like a contender at all in terms of like the WHL playoffs, Memorial Cup. But, 2-year captain as such a young guy, love him. So Berkeley Cadden, easily my number 1 rated prospect out of the WHL this season. Lots of love about Berkeley Cadden. Big fan.
So where realistically is he being slated right now by the quote unquote experts?
He's probably closer to 10. I think part of that has to do with like the hard on everyone has right now for Salayev, which I get it. Yeah, no, there are a couple. So like the thing with him, or well, a couple of the other guys, I think there's going to be a huge run on defensemen very early in the draft. Like even now, like even more than we've said before, like there are more defensemen who are just getting hurt. Even like a guy, I think someone's going to take Yakubchuk before they take him. So, and I get that because some of the tools that some of these defensemen do have are like very, very, very appealing. But, I think the run on defensemen is going to start very early again. I feel like the last couple of years, it's been unexpected how many like defensemen get taken very early. Like last year was outrageous almost. How many guys end up going in the first round that I wouldn't have taken there.
Yeah.
So I think that run on those defensemen will push some of the other like guys that I would probably lean on for top 5, top 6, whatever. Like there's going to be a ripple effect for a few guys, and Catton definitely falls in that pool. The fact that he's 5'11", is going to really affect a whole lot of rankings, I think. But he is like Berkeley Cadden is absurd. Like he is so fucking good, dude. He rules. I love this kid.
Fair enough. All right. Moving on to number 2. We have Caden Lindstrom, center out of Medicine Hat Tigers.
He is. So so one thing that's going to affect possibly his wherever he goes is the fact that he's been hurt for a little bit now. But this is a 6'4". He's listed at 216. He's probably closer like 225. Center, who another guy, excellent two-way game, but his offensive upside is through the roof. Like he's unbelievably smart. So again, dynamic playmaker while being a goal scoring threat. I mean, he's actually put up way more goals than I thought he would at this point. Like he's only played in 32 games this year because of this injury, but he's got 27 goals, which before this year, like it's like, oh, that's a really good big playmaking center. He's probably like tail end of the first, early second, and you'll get like a steal possibly. At this point, he's easily top. I mean, my range right here listed is anywhere from 4 to 7, which actually I think even with this injury is going to prove to be accurate in the long run, just because you're getting a 6'4", 200 or whatever pound, like ridiculously high offensive center. And he is fucking mean. Like if he doesn't have it one night, he will be like just the biggest prick on the ice. He hammers guys. But the trajectory with him the last 2 years has been crazy. So that's why he started tracking before the year started. And then the beginning of this season, like since the Hlinka Gretzky tournament where he was one of their best forwards for Canada. He just continued on that track. So between the size, the two-way game, and how much boom potential there is for a kid like Caden Lindstrom, I think he does ultimately end up going anywhere from 4 to 7 or so. So I feel like that'll end up being accurate. But again, the two-way center that just happens to be fucking massive and mean as shit. You're getting a kid at 17, 18 years old with some of the highest upside in this draft. So that's why I put him at number 2.
Seems reasonable. All right, moving on to number 3. Tij Iginla, left wing, Kelowna Rockets.
Another guy that the trajectory has been insane this year. Again, Kelowna, they'll be a playoff team. They're not by any means a contender. Before this year, it was kind of just like uncontrolled chaos when he was on the ice, where he was just like touching the puck and immediately like shot, shoot, goal, maybe, hopefully, and then just like skating like a fucking madman. This year, he's like 6 or 7 goals per game. He's got 37 goals in 52 games to go along with 28 assists for 65 points. But he's a good size. He's going to get bigger too. But the skating is decent enough where this offensive upside that he's flashing this year, like there are certain guys who, if there's skating problems, there's some guys like that's just not correctable. But there's nothing about the skating we can fix here. Him, it's a lot different. Like that, there's at least some like top speed. What he gets there, that's like, oh, okay. So at least there is a baseline of like, if we could just correct a few mechanical things, we can get him to display some significantly better skating prowess. But that's the case with him. But the thing with this year is like, he's always had a great shot. This year, he's more selective in terms of like letting these shots go in like just better areas of the ice, like higher percentage. So I think he is a very smart player. But he like at this point is only scoring huge goals. I think he has like 4 or 5 OT winners. Like he did on Monday, he scored another OT winner. He's a if any big game, he's going to show up. And again, he's a decent enough two-way winger that like you're not really worried about him being like a power play merchant or just like all offense. But the trajectory with him, I think he will be flirting with top 10 by the end of the year. So I have his range right now anywhere from 12 to 20. There are certain people that are putting him in the top 10 already. But the start of the year, everyone was curious to see if like his crazy production offensively was going to continue, if there's going to be any longevity there. And he's only like it just hasn't even come close to like plateauing or like going down at all. Like he is only getting better this year. It also helps he's going to have a pretty good role model or someone to bounce ideas off. And Jarome Iginla, his father, that's a decent guy to have on your side.
Wild fans wouldn't know anything about him.
No, never heard of him.
But how similar is his game to Papa Iginla? Like, is it very similar shades of it, or are they just completely different animals?
I would say he's more flashy, less like he's not gonna fight guys like he's not gonna like look to get what he's not afraid to get in the mix.
He's allowed to play in the WHL.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, he's yeah. Like Iginla could fight, like Jarome Iginla could fight and enjoyed fighting. And he just happened to also have in his bag like 100-point potential every year. Tij Iginla's got the 100-point potential. He's not afraid to like get in the mix, super physical. Like he's not afraid of it, but that's not going to be something that like you're like, oh yeah, he's got that in his bag too. Like you're taking him for the high upside, the boot potential, because like this year it is like some of the goals he scored this year are absurd. So big fan of Tij Iginla. That's why I put him at 3. And I feel like that range is fair, 12 to 20. And again, I could see him getting close to like 10, 11. But yeah, love Tij Iginla. One of the like most fun players to watch in this draft class. And he's got top 6 high goal scoring potential written all over him, and he's got the playmaking to go along with that too.
Okay. That sounds pretty okay. All right, moving on to number 4. Carter Yakimchuk, right-handed defenseman, Calgary Hitmen.
Oh, yeah. So this is a guy. So my range that we listed here, again, same as Tisha Ginla, 12-20. I think he's going to go way earlier. He will probably be a top 8 guy. Number 1, if you're a defenseman who is as big as he is, 6'3", right around 200 pounds, and you're fucking mean, like mean on the ice, automatically NHL teams love you. But this year in particular, he is flashing way more offensive. Like, he's always had the offense in his bag. This year, I mean, he's almost at a point per game for. Oh, actually, he's over a point per game for Calgary now. 55 points in 52 games to go along with 103 penalty minutes. I think he will go top 8. I think Bobby Mack had him like 5, something like that. Maybe it was.
Wow,
that might have been Pronman for the Athletic. And I would feel safer with the 12-20 range just because I do think there are certain limitations with the offense at the NHL level where, like, he'll flash occasional, like, deceptiveness of the blue line, but some of the points that he is picking up are pretty hopeful, like shots, like from the corner that just like get tipped or end up as like second assists. And it's not super consistent, but I mean, he picked a pretty good year to just absolutely light up the score sheet. But again, you're talking about a right-handed D-man that's 6'3", right around 200 pounds. That's tough as shit and has this offensive upside. I do think that screams top 10, especially with the run on defenseman we're seeing the last couple of years. Sure. So initially, this was a guy that like felt, regardless of where Minnesota ended up, just to put a Minnesota spin on this, whether they like just make the first round and get bounced in the first round, or if they just miss, even if they wanted to do that. I always thought like he should be a player that's in that range. If they just miss out in the playoffs and end up picking like 20 or whatever, I don't think he's going to be there. Like, I think he'll be gone way before that. But this is a perfect player to add to the defense pool because like they've got
just missing the playoffs wouldn't be 20. Just missing the playoffs is like 15.
Sure. Whatever. In that range, then. I think he'll be gone by whatever, dude. He'll be gone. Like, I do think he is going to end up being a top 10
sure
guy. If not top 10, like 11. Like, he's going, like, the NHL teams are on record. They fucking love him.
You're going to put it on the line. He will go top 11.
Mm-hmm. No problem. Yeah. There you go. But God, would he look so good in this Minnesota Wild like prospect pool? Because again, like we've got a bunch of like specifically left shot D-man who you've got a good mix of like some guys who are like all offense that are very high ceiling. Defensive game might be a worry. You've got a couple guys again on the left side that play a well-rounded game for Minnesota. And there's a couple guys that are just very defensively stout guys, both on right side and left side. I think a big, high potential guy that like is fucking. When I say he's mean, like anytime someone hits him, like he wants to go. Like he's like fuck. Like he's like insulted anytime anyone like forechecks him. He's just like, oh, you suck. Like get back here, you son of a bitch. Like. I'm also going to put up 3 points later, by the way. Gordie Howe hat trick, keep it change. Yeah. But just the offensive upside that he's shown this year that's like on another level as years past, like that's why teams already do love him for sure. But I think by the time Minnesota picks, he will for sure be gone. But solid. Like the foundation there is just like I think he's a high floor. Very high floor guy, just given the fact that he's a decent enough defenseman. Plus, he's got the size and grit. So we'll see. But I do think by the time Minnesota picks, I would be shocked if he's available.
All right. Well, let's move on to number 5 then. Andrew Basha, left wing, Medicine Hat Tigers.
Sneaky one of my favorite players in the draft. Again, another guy that for the past probably 2 years in WHL as like an underager has been one of the more skilled, very fun to watch players. So he's got like a really long track record of just like being so good in the WHL. They list him at 6 foot. I feel like they're being nice. I think he's probably going to like 5'10", 5'11". I just want to throw that out there. But like one of the best players in WHL, specifically like in transition. Like again, I think I actually mentioned him either last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't know. But like his ability to just get through insane traffic through the neutral zone, gain the O zone, and then just either set up a chance for himself or just create like possession in the offensive zone is like uncanny. Easily one of the best in the WHL at that specific. So like he's definitely more of a playmaker for sure. He's having a real nice offensive year, 69 points in 51 games. I'm very curious to see where NHL teams land on him. I think the fact that he's not like the biggest dude in the world, there's certain teams. Yeah, exactly. You know what? They're not actually going to look into that. But I think his lack of like physicality and like willingness to really get in the mix at times, that might hurt him just in terms of where he ends up. If he goes outside the first round, I will riot. Like there's no way. I've have his range 20-25. I would also probably even, to be honest with you, I could probably change that to like 16-25. But again, unbelievably high offensive upside. Defense work in progress, but that's the case for most of these kids playing junior hockey.
Yeah.
But it's at least manageable. But like the skating ability, the deceptiveness, like and the playmaking, I think he's got a very high ceiling for sure. So another one of my sneaky favorites just overall in any region for this draft class. Sneaky all name team, by the way. Basha, kind of sick.
I think it's a good name, but in a pretty deep draft class when it comes to the prestigious all name team, I don't know that he's scratching it, but it is a cool name. I think this next name is actually a lot cooler. And also, Z, this is the first one. It's one of two in your top 10 that I feel like you haven't really discussed with me. We have Miguel Marquez, right wing, Lethbridge Hurricanes.
Yeah, and another guy, and like this has been the theme. I feel like it's been the theme, like in the WHL specifically, but like crazy trajectory where Marquez was looked at like mid to late second round pick type of player coming into this year. But this season for Lethbridge, again, another team that's not necessarily like a contender in any sense. So there's not a whole lot of guys on that team that are like sniffing a point per game, I don't think. 60 points in 53 games, but like the way he's doing it is electric. Dynamic playmaking. He's got a phenomenal shot, but like he is one of the smartest players, I think, in the WHL. Again, another guy with a great two-way game. So that also helps. But he's gritty. He's got like the foundational skill, the hands, like the quick deceptive hands are so fun to watch. And again, just like the trajectory has been out of this world. And another guy that's just like started hot and only got better as the years gone on. So yeah, definitely the first time we brought him up. I think he does end up right around this range. I have him 25 to 32. I think another guy that like if he goes outside the first round, I will be livid. So this is, again, I think the thing with him is just like the upside is insane. Just like some of the plays that he's making this year and like the advanced decision making and like reading of plays too. Another one of those guys is just like he's clearly thinking 3 plays ahead. So I love Miguel Marquez. Great name, great player.
Really important fact too for everyone. That's twice now that Z's talked about a WHL prospect here that he will be furious if they end up outside the first round. I believe the last time that Z said that about a WHL player, they were the last pick in the second round somehow, and it turned out that it was an absolute bust of a pick. I don't know. Am I misremembering that?
No, I think you got that right. I think you nailed it. Riley Heidt.
Riley Heidt was the player slept on. So watch for either of these guys if they do slip into the second to be yet another of the amalgamation of Judd'z Budz that Judd just swoops in and looks like a genius yet again. Even though everyone will be upset that you didn't take Gabe Perreault, and they'll probably never get over it. So
yeah, they'll play a riot.
I mean, yeah, he's used to riots, though. I mean, he did come from Vancouver.
Yeah, he likes it, actually.
That should make you happy. Come on.
Right, come on. Exactly.
We don't like the 2011 jokes? All right. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Fine. I'm on Isha's side now. Fuck you. All right. Next guy up here at number 7 on the WHL draft eligibles for the 2024 NHL draft. Ryder Ritchie, which this is the first guy on this list that I'm like, yeah, this screams all name to me.
Don't you feel like on his way to the draft, he should be like pulling up on a Harley, you know, like he's just like possibly with like a Marb red behind his ear, like it's like leather, just all leathered out, you know. I feel like that's great name. I actually simple but effective.
I get that vibe from him, but I also get it from number 8 on your list, who we'll be getting into after this. Like, I don't know why that name gives me the same kind of vibe. They're completely different names, but I still get it. It's the versatility of bikers.
Yeah. Well, Ryder Ritchie. Yeah, fuck. So Ryder Ritchie is going to be one of the players this year that I will be particularly interested in, like seeing where they go. For me, he's easily a first round draft pick. He's been such a victim of the environment that he's in. Like Prince Albert sucks. They are.
You have the range 25 to 32. He's an easy first rounder.
Yeah, easy.
Okay.
If it wasn't easy, I would have put it like 40.
Fair.
He is an unbelievable skater. Some of the best, quickest hands in this draft. And unfortunately, like him playing in Prince Albert has done just like, I mean, there's just no offense to be had there. So the fact that and plus he was hurt in the middle of the season, that didn't help either. But the fact that he's even like sniffing a point per game is just impressive in itself. But he is like just an incredibly shifty playmaker. Again, like some of the fastest, most deceptive hands in this class, to go along with one of the better skaters here. He's also super young, which, believe it or not, does like factor into a lot of these rankings. Sure. But the hockey IQ is just off the charts too. So like, again, I would say if he was not playing for Prince Albert, I think he would still be in that like 15 to 20 range. But just like the fact that so many other players have been in better positions and have skyrocketed in terms of like their trajectory has definitely hurt him through like realistically no actual fault of his own. But again, like the playmaking is off the charts. He's so fun to watch. The skating. So like we talked about this before, 2024. So many players in this class are just like all the tools in the world. But for him, the thing is like he also has the hockey IQ, which the advanced hockey says to go along with it. So I wish he wasn't fucking playing at Prince Albert. I can't do anything about that, obviously. But he's also just another grinding two-way forward too. So I think he just marries like just every kind of tool that you want in a player. There's decent enough upside to make him like he probably should be like the 15-20 conversation. But to be safe and what feels realistic, I put him in 25 to 32. But I think anyone that takes him late first round, they're going to end up with a steal in their hands just because of like the foundational tools to go along with the hockey sense. He's a hell of a player. I really, really like Ryder Ritchie. And also, like we said, great name.
Great name.
Yeah. Like, dude, he's going to be on, your first power play unit. He's going to be killing penalties. Like, he's going to be effective in every area of the game. Like, he's such a fucking good player. He's just like in such a shitty like environment for a kid trying to get drafted high. So it is what it is.
Fair. Now going on to his Harley brethren here. Number 8, Tanner Howe, left wing with the Regina Pats.
Fascinating case study in like prospects, because like another kid, so he's one of the older players in this draft, which I think also factors in. Like, he just missed, I gotta pull up his actual, I want to make sure I have it right. Like, yeah, he's in November 05, so he missed out on last year's draft by like just over a month. So I think weirdly people have also like held that against him more than I expected. But another like very high offensive upside. The skating for me is a bit of an issue, but everyone was putting a lot of his point or offensive production point totals last couple of years. They were holding the fact that he was playing with Bedard against him. Realistically, like, he probably played away from Connor Bedard more often than he played with Connor Bedard for Regina. And again, like, even with Bedard, they were like barely a playoff team. Ended up having a great series against, I think it was Kamloops in the first round, took the 7 games. But like, he started this year, no Bedard, Regina even worse than they were last year, and he is putting up the same, like, I think close to the exact same like points per game as he was before. And the thing that's very impressive about that is like he is doing it by himself. So like he creates offense. He's got a phenomenal shot, one of the better shots, at least in the WHL for this draft class. So it's just been interesting. Like he hasn't really gotten a whole lot of love for like basically doing what he was doing last year, but even more like impressively this year. Which again, I just think it's kind of fascinating that like, because of so many other players having like crazy trajectory this year, he kind of gets lost. He kind of gets lost in that mix. But like whether he's playing for Team Canada, whether he's playing by himself, basically for Regina, he's just like well over a point per game doing the exact same thing as he's been doing forever. And people are like, yeah, but he played with Bedard. Like, but he didn't. Not really.
Yeah, you see where he's slotted right now for you.
Exactly. Sure. I'm putting myself in that conversation.
You know where he's fucking going to go? He's going to go in the second round to Chicago. It's going to fucking happen.
God, don't put that
evil on that's me, happening.
Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
It's just going to happen.
Yeah. But
I don't want it.
Again, my only concerns with him specifically, and the reason I have him where I do, is like the skating is a legitimate concern. Like, I don't think he's very interested whatsoever in defense. So the threat, like the risk there taking him too high is like, are we getting a kid that's just going to put up like 40 goals every year in junior hockey and then not really know what to do at the NHL level? But I think that's the extreme. I don't actually think that's the case. So I still have to have him in my top 10. I think he should be still a first round guy. I got him like anywhere from 30 to 40, but for me, like 30, 31, 32 feels about right now. And I could see if he pops, he's going to be like, whatever team takes him there will be laughing because he does have that legit offensive upside. He is fun to watch offensively. And like, the ability to create offense for himself too is just unbelievably impressive. So, yeah, I had him there. But I do think he like just does get lost because he played with Bedard. Like, but it's crazy. Like he also still has 69 points in 56 games on a shitty team. Like he should be getting more credit even from myself. But because he happened to play with Bedard for a little bit, I feel like that gets held against him. So, I think he should be a first rounder, and I like him a lot. He's fun to watch, so we'll see.
Fair. Well, here's another all-name team consideration, and that's the second guy in the top 10 that I feel like we really haven't talked about. Maybe I've just blacked out when you did.
Probably.
Tarek Parashak, right wing, Prince George Cougars. Why does that team sound familiar?
Not sure.
That was awful.
Yeah, no why. If I could do this again, I would have put him probably in the first round. I think I have his range 35 to 45. So start of the year, he put up, I think he scored 12 goals in his first 10 WHL games. And a couple of those were like Riley Heidt, Zach Funk putting like pucks on a fucking tee and just like serving them backdoor tap-ins. As the years gone on, he is apparently a super dynamic playmaking forward who's very smart. He, again, decent enough skater. He's not like an elite skater, but he's fine. He had an assist last night that like ultimately, because the assist itself was a shot on goal, it's not as impressive. But if you just rewind the tape, he takes the puck from behind his own net, beats two separate forward checkers, then he beats one forward the neutral zone who goes off, changes, who then comes back to support, and then just like butter carves both defensemen and the guy that came on to change another guy he cooked to the neutral zone. And then the goalie made a skate blade save. And then I think it was Zach Funk tapped in for the goal. So we got the assist on that. His production this year has been insane. I think he was barely on a whole lot of people's radars. Like, I think a lot of people coming, another guy this year, probably mid second, probably even late second, early third round pick, just because he does have so many, like the thing that he's always had is that skill, but he never was really on a team that, like, I mean, he played one playoff game, I think, last year in WHL. He was playing like, I don't even know what the league's called, like the Canadian Scholastic it's like Canadian prep hockey. Like, literally playing high school hockey last year and then entered the WHL. Wasn't playing. He didn't even get a call up to Helinka Gretzky in the summer. So like a pretty virtual unknown. And then immediately was like flirting with 2 points a game in the WHL, like goal scoring, playmaking. And it's been unbelievable. And he has not slowed down, where even just in the past like 3 or 4 months, he's gotten significantly better, where he is oftentimes, whatever line he's on, he is driving the offense. Like, it goes through him, which, yeah, sure, Prince George loaded, and there were a few points at point, like early in the season, there were a few times where like a few of his points were courtesy of someone else making like a ridiculous play, or it was on the power play, whatever. At this point now, like, he is one of their 2, 3, 4 like go-to playmakers. So I think ultimately it's going to be undeniable to take him late first round. And I think there's teams that probably convince themselves to take him like even in the middle of the first round. I think there's decent enough upside to talk yourself into that. I think if he had been the WHL last year and shown, obviously not like point per game potential, but like shown a little bit more and people had more exposure to him, it would be a no doubt, like anywhere from 10 to 15 at this point, just because of how ridiculous he's been in the WHL this season. But like, it is not an easy league to just step into as like a 16, 17-year-old. And he literally, I think his first game this year had like 4 points. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And then he just didn't slow down. So just again, talk about trajectory. Like, he is the definition of this year's, like, he might be the biggest riser so far. I still have him 30 to 40 or 35 to 45, which if I could do that again, I would have probably put him in the same range as Tanner Howe. But I would just like to see it a little bit more, I think, in comparison with those two. Like, I've seen it from Tanner Howe for a couple of years, mostly because I can stream his games. I couldn't do that before Tarek Parasak. But it is crazy. Like, he didn't even get a consideration to go to the Helinka Gretzky, like, national team call-ups, literally playing prep school hockey in Canada, and then just hits the WHL. He's got like 78 points in 56 games because he put up a couple more last night. But I think ultimately he will be first round, like, no doubt. Actually, realistic again. I put 35 to 45 mostly because I had him at 9, and I had to put him a little bit lower than the other guys. But if I could do it again, I would have probably done the same range as Tanner Howe, 30 to 40.
All right, fair. We're moving on then to the final of your top 10. We will get to some honorable mentions as well. But number 10 for the WHL, we have Charlie Ellick, right-handed defenseman, Brandon Wheat Kings.
Yeah, and this is one that, and then realistically, I'm looking at the list now. Him and Richie are probably the only two that are lower than I would have put them at the start of the year. The thing with Charlie Ellick is another right-handed D-man. He's 6'3", 190 whatever pounds. He's been playing in the WHL for a couple of years at a high level. Last year, Brandon was significantly better than they are this year. This year, he's just really, really stagnated. Like probably the past 2 years, you've seen so many plays of him flashing like very smart, high hockey IQ plays, where now he's like reverting to like just trying to take the puck at the blue line and beat everybody wide and skate to the net and score goals himself. His defensive game this year has been not on the same level at all as years past. So I think coming in, you probably would have had him, again, probably close to the middle of the first round. At this point, I think, what's my range? 40 to 50 feels fair. Ultimately, because he's a 6'3", right shot D-man who's pretty mean and physical, I think he'll get taken higher than I probably would have. But the thing with him, like, he does have, again, right shot D-man, so automatically plus 10 points or plus 10 spots. But skating plus defensive game historically has been a plus, and the fact that he's very physical, like, so he's got those tools, and he's flashed really, really high upside, offensive upside in years past. It's just this year just has not clicked for him. Like, he's got 24 points in 54 games. Realistically, if you're a defenseman that's going to go in the first round, you probably, in like playing junior hockey, you probably should be flirting with a point per game. So it's just been a weird
7 feet tall.
Or be 7 feet. I mean, he has that though. He's 6'3", which is 7 feet. Same thing. Actually, maybe 6'5". Makes me. I feel like 6'5" is the cutoff. Realistic. Actually, now I think about it, for like, he's basically 7 fucking feet tall.
No, being 5'11" and having them be nice to you and call you 6 feet, you're 7 feet. You're a giant.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. But I think I have a feeling, again, I think he will go higher than where I have him at 40 to 50, just because he has a really solid track record. He's been a Hockey Canada guy too, in terms of like getting called up to like Hlinka Gretzky's U18, U17, Five Nations, U18 World Championships. So the track record's been there. It's just probably a guy that kind of falls victim to like the environment that he's in right now, and just this weird drop off, specifically like offensively, honestly, because he's still probably averaging like over 2.5, 3 minutes a game, just killing penalties this year for Brandon. But again, just like a really weird drop off, like more than you would have expected, even if he was in like a shitty team. There have been even like games where they've deferred from him on their power play. Like, so I kind of see some red flags in there, but like at the same time, you're talking about 6'3" right shot D-man who skates really well, who has a track record of just being a solid two-way D-man, not necessarily like a point per game, like first power play unit NHL type defenseman, but I think he can be, like he's shown in the past, he should be able to be like a reliable, mobile second pair guy. So I think like he looks to me like a number 4, like a solid number 4. And I think like for all of those type defensemen too, if like you can be projected as like, he might not pop off offensively, but he's very reliable, then I think that gets you a lot of points. But ultimately, the fact that he shoots right-handed and he is 6'3" will definitely help him. So we'll see where he ends up. But again, coming into the year, he probably was a mid first round. I don't know. Drop off's been a bit concerning. But yeah, that's our top 10, and I'm sure if pass in actually it's like 3 weeks, I'm like, actually everyone in my top 10 is no longer in my top 10 anymore. I hate them all.
I stubbed my toe. I'm starting over.
I didn't sleep well. Well, I can't even say that. I don't sleep well.
Sleep well.
Yeah, that's true. something will happen. Something very minor. I will have a minor issue in my day, and I'll be like, motherfucker, let me go change
Minor
my ranking.
inconvenience.
All my rankings are done. Oh, I'm changing it.
It'll be after you scurry.
But,
I
saw a question. We should definitely.
Well, we got a couple questions we're going to hit, but we should. I mean, do we want to address questions first, or do we want to hit honorable mentions first?
Let's do this. I'll name the honorable mentions I threw in there, and then I'll only like briefly just touch on a couple that I'm like, I probably will put him by the end of the year.
Fair. So here I have just the first group here because I can only fit so many on the scroll. It's the ones that you had to find ranges for, where the ones on the next group are just kind of like in the 50s plus kind of range.
Yeah.
So. Oh, sorry. I can announce them for you. Honorable mentions for the WHL. We have Harrison Brunicky, a left-handed defenseman from Kamloops Blazers. Whoa. Adam, is it Jekko? Right wing, Edmonton Oil Kings, and Clark Caswell, left wing, Swift Current Broncos.
Yeah, and the one of these three that really sticks out is like, I think by the end of the year, I would probably put him in my top 10 WHL guys. I know my buddies over Elite Prospects have him in their first round. Harrison Brunicky, left-hand D-man from Kamloops, 6'3", 190 pounds. The big thing with him is he plays for the Kamloops Blazers, who, if you forgot, traded every single asset that they could possibly have ever had in their life for Olen Zellweger last year. And they immediately, after this year ended, or last year ended, they lost like Caden Bankhier, Kyle Masters, Olen Zellweger, half of their fucking team. So they are, I think they're the worst team in the WHL this year. And his big profile is like he is a big, extremely mobile, high offensive upside D-man. Like, and he has no opportunity to flash any of that offense this year, like at all. So through 48 games, he still has 10 goals, which is just like impressive in and of itself, to go along with 11 assists, 21 points. And he has, again, being on Kamloops means that you're going to be on the ice when you're playing like almost 30 minutes a night, you're going to be for the worst team in WHL, you're going to be on the ice for a lot of goals against. But defensively, he is sound. It's just like he's dash 12. It doesn't look like that's the case. But if you've watched him for a few years, like a kid he's that big, he's that mobile. And he is so smart with it, like his like on and off puck game. Like he is very fun to watch in the offensive zone too, where he is one of the like dynamic offensive, like creating defensemen in this class, or at least in the WHL. So like when he's running their power play, it is fun to watch. Like he single-handedly creates almost all of their scoring chances from the back end. So I do think by the end of the season, which I guess there's only so many games left before they have the WHL playoffs, but he was the one that I was trying really hard to put in my top 10. And again, like there are certain people who will put him the range that I listed, like 40 to 55. Meanwhile, you've got my buddies over at EP, Elite Prospects. I think they had like 22, 23. But a lot of that just has to do with the fact that he has every foundational tool that you want in terms of skating, skill, IQ, sound defensive game, to go along with the fact that he's 6'3". Like that just is pretty good. So that was the one I was like battling with. I just had a longer track. Honestly, I was like actually kicking myself about Charlie Elick over him, because even though Elick has a track record and this season's been just not the same player that we've seen in the past couple of years, like I do think like this specifically the skating and the like play creation from the back end, I think Brunicky might actually just have a higher upside. So it might, even just sitting here now, I wish I kind of swapped those two, but he's definitely one to watch. He is a very good player. I really like watching him. It's just like Kamloops is so bad. Like, I mean, so fucking bad. It's like he has no one to pass the puck to. Yeah, but so, like, dude, there are times where he's turned the puck over the blue line, like you're like looking at him like, oh, he doesn't want to give the puck to any of these motherfuckers. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah, but think about how good they're going to be in like 13 years when they get all those draft picks.
Yeah, when they drafted, they've been trading picks for players that haven't been born yet. That usually has a bit of an effect. He'll retire by the time that those draft picks come to fruition. You know what I mean? But by the time they get all their picks back with all the picks they traded last year, he'll have retired from the NHL.
This is the prime crop. We see all the parents that are going to have kids that year. Yeah, they're not the ones boozing and smoking right now.
No, yeah. Oh, fuck. All right.
We have our sources at the hospital. Don't worry.
Per source. Per hospital source.
Oh, man. All right. Do we want to move on to the remainder of the honorable mentions?
Yeah. Let me bring up.
Or do you care about either of these two?
I think the last couple honorable. No, yeah, we can move on. Right. Adam Jecko and Clark. Actually, they are both very interesting, but I mean, not enough.
Not interesting enough. Though, so we're going to move on. So here in the remainder of the honorable mentions, we've got Carson Wetch, right wing Calgary Hitmen. We've got Ollie Josephson, center Red Deer Rebels. We've got Taryn Smith, left-handed defenseman Everett Silvertips, and we've got Colton Roberts, right-handed defenseman, Vancouver Giants. I got to lead with this, Z. Please, please, please tell me that Ollie Josephson is just like a motherfucker, like a badass, because I don't know if I've ever like heard such a cupcake name as Ollie Josephson.
He's okay.
Oh, he is a cupcake. Okay.
No, but like he is also like one of my favorite things about. So actually, and I just looked at the comments and this definitely was not about Ollie Josephson, but Sean Cosgrove threw in their all vibes team ? I would throw Ollie Josephson in the all vibes team. He is nasty. So like 56 games this year for Red Deer. He's got 9 goals and 31 assists. One of like the most fun playmakers at center this year. I mean, I think ultimately when he ends up in the NHL, he is so small. Like he's listed 5'11", 176 pounds. Like that feels very kind. But same time, he's unbelievably strong.
They didn't push it to 6 feet. They knew that would get called for bullshit. But 5'11", everyone's like, well, you're shorter than 6 feet. We don't care.
We can't lie that bad, like that's a bridge too far, fucking he's got ridiculous skill, and like one of those players who like half of the assists that he has, like they're him just serving these backdoor no look feeds. Like he is so fun to watch, and he's a phenomenal skater as well, but like the shot is not that, like he does not shoot. He does not like shooting.
9 goals in 56 games played. Yeah, not
right.
Awesome.
And Red Deer's not great, but he's also got 31 assists. You look like the difference between assists and goals. Like there are sometimes some of these players will just like hit 1 year the WHL or any junior hockey, and it's like if they have more goals and assists, then it's like maybe we keep an eye on, unless it's like 50 fucking goals and 20 assists. When it's like close, you're like, okay, is he just like kind of like getting his chance? Like, is he people just serving him just like easy goals, whatever? But like with him, he is the centerpiece of Red Deer's offense, and he's very, very fun at doing it. But the reason I put him in the all vibes team is just like he's the one that net front scrum. He's got like this 6'4" menacing D-man, like just trying to goad him into anything, like punching him in the face, and he's just sitting there laughing. He's like, okay, all right. Okay. And then next time he touches the puck, he will walk that guy and just like laugh and then serve up a backdoor. So that's why I put him in the all vibes team. He's very fun. I like him a lot.
Like he's got weird Brandon Duhaime vibes where he's just sitting on the bench screaming as a fight's happening in front of him. He's not going to be in the fight, but he's just going to sit there and fucking scream as it happens.
Well, not even. I think he's just like fucking. I think he's quietly chirping like fucking idiot. Like the one like you get chirped and like 2 days later, like you son of a bitch, like motherfucker.
I don't mean this in the wrong way, but almost kind of gives off like stoner vibes. Just like
yeah.
Whatever. You say what you want.
Yeah, you remember what he said like 2 days later, like that was fucking good. But he is like he does have legit offensive upside. Like he is such a smart player in the offensive zone, like just dynamic playmaking. So I do like him a lot. So we'll see where he winds up and the range he goes in. I feel like he could be a mid to early second round guy. I put him 60 plus right now just because there's so many other like big toolsy guys I could see go before him, but he's definitely one to track. Definitely, and like another guy, like decent trajectory too. Like he's kind of like not a no name, but like virtually somewhat unknown. But yeah, he's a very fun player. The only other guy from this group that I'm very intrigued by is Colton Roberts, another massive fucking right shot D man, 6'4", 194 pounds out of Vancouver. Mean, big, skates. He is an unbelievable skater. So anytime you can like have that a guy that big that skates that well, you love that. And again, right shot, we love it.
Yeah, 32.
yeah, that's tough. Vancouver. I do think Vancouver at one point lost three games in a row, and the fewest amount of goals they gave up was like 7. You're like, oh shit, that sucks. Like, that's another team. They had a bunch of guys leave for the NHL, so that hurt them this year. But a big right shot team that skates as well as he does, and is as mean as he does, and like the points don't necessarily reflect how good he is. I don't think, because I think there's decent offensive upside there too. So Colton Roberts for me is definitely another one to track. I think he'll probably go. I put him 60 plus right now just to be safe for myself. But I think he would be, if someone takes him in like the middle of the second round, you're probably getting a guy that's going to play in the NHL for a long time, be a very reliable, mean defenseman. And the defense isn't so bad that like you just can't work with it. Like he's not going to be pigeonholed to like, all right, like we have to pick what we're going to throw this kid in the ice. I think there's enough like of a foundation there defensively that I think he'll play a long time in the NHL. So another one that's just very interesting to watch for sure.
Very fair. And yeah, I mean, I had this one queued up from Sean Cosgrove, but I mean, maybe this is an addition that we make this year, or are we already just buried with the all name team? Because all name is not being replaced by all vibes, but
we can do all vibes.
Guys that fit the all vibes category, and you're going to be able to draw the line versus like, yeah, I got 60 guys that are in the list. Like, no, we're not doing that.
No, yeah. We can do all, again, we said all vibes. That's how I described Ollie Josephson. So, I mean, we've got a candidate right there to start that squad.
We've got the president of the movement. All right. Good to know.
Yeah.
All right. We got a couple things I'll address here just as housekeeping pieces, and then we can see if there's anything last minute that you want to touch on, Z. But Jack asks, will you guys release a list of this too? Missed the first half. Z, probably something you're up to.
Yeah, I would say that we could do that for
sure. A list will exist on the Twitter sphere at some point. So follow @SpokedZ if you want that. Although if Riley Heidt scores a couple goals, he might push it off a month. So
yeah, I know. Fuck me, dude. I have so much. I'm like gonna have to call out. I'm gonna have to call out of work at some point.
I mean, probably overdue for that. Our new friend, the Burning Couch Podcast, subscribed. And of course, almost at 1,000, as we mentioned before. Please, guys, help us get there. Please, it'd be great. Isha, of course, all caps, very excited and emotional, or he just forgot how caps lock works. Subscribe and smash that like button. But Z, did you have any last thoughts here, whether it's WHL, whether it's just something that you just saw on your other screen that was interesting?
I don't think so. I think, well, actually, I think Cosgrove was it Cosgrove that said it?
He said a lot of things.
I know he's been buzzing. Actually, and I was looking for the comment to make sure that it was him. And there's another one that we should mention. Kuznetsov will for sure at some point soon, probably, I guess, be here. I think he has maybe one game left at this point in the KHL. Sochi's also right now in the mode where like they are getting the ever living dog shit kicked out of them every game. Like I watched, I think maybe the first 2 periods the other day of one of their games. I don't think they touched the puck, and like they're all in the eyes. Like I don't give a fuck, dude. Like please end our season. This sucks. So we will now be on. Well, we've been on Who's I've watched, but I know their last game is February 25th, so we're just less than a week away. So I wanted to mention that. And the only other thing I want to touch on, because people were shitting themselves, which is my favorite and least favorite thing. Scott Wheeler put his prospect rankings out. The Wild are outside the top 10. And that's because so many of them have graduated on to playing, not anywhere. But I just wanted to at least bring that up because people are like, what this is a disaster. And then you're like, have you ever watched any of them play other than like reading rankings on like different websites? No. Okay. Next question. Thank you. I love that. I love it, dude. I just like seeing people freak out about like other people's rankings of players that like they've only heard of from the NHL draft and then never watched them before. It is very funny to be like, fire Garen, fire them all. We can't go on like this. Mediocre, continue. Like, mediocrity forever. Anyways, just want to at least mention that, just in case anyone else wanted to shit themselves in the comments. Sorry, throw that in there. If not, we can call it quits here.
Standard, yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll probably be from here on out like be pretty draft heavy. I feel like most episodes at this point.
I mean, yeah, I think we're gonna follow the trajectory we just set, right? So we did WHL this week. Next week we will, I imagine, probably do the OHL draft eligibles and also talk OHL prospect roundup and whatever nonsense the Minnesota Wild may embark on in the meantime.
As we were number 1, now that's a 1000% downgrade. At a boy Cosgrove, just that he must be ripping some online poker right now.
12 tables.
All right, so that means next week we'll be doing OHL rankings. So there we go.
50%
decision made.
Yep. All right, OHL set to it. That's easy enough.
And in the meantime, be on the lookout for maybe another prospect goal video, maybe points video. I don't know if I could do. I might not be able to do fucking Riley Heidt. He's just gonna score 11 more fucking goals in the next 3 days. Really ruin my day, but you'll never know. But anyways, thanks to everybody who tuned in for almost 2 hours, and anyone that stuck around for like 30 seconds and was like, "Nah, all right, yeah, no, these guys I don't like these guys." Fair enough. At least you clicked on us. We're fine. And
tell you what, I don't care how long you were here. Just subscribe, and we love you.
Absolutely nothing wrong with 30 seconds. All right. There's nothing. It's a long time. It's a long time. Anyways, we can.
God damn it.
We'll see. It's a long shot. Just saying.
I could go somewhere. We're not gonna.
I think we're there.
No, you don't. No, you don't know.
All right, we'll talk offline. All right.